Hey, Sunshine Buckaroos, how the heck are you? I'm going to be Tom the Whiskey Whisperer for this video. Well, there we go. There it is. All righty. So what I did here is I made the same cocktail twice. I just changed the whiskey. So the first version I'm going to have with you uses the Angel's Envy in rum cask rye at 100 proof. So the idea here is using the Manhattan as a template, but trying to do a lighter version, more spring. So I wanted to take out that heavy sweet vermouth and add a couple other ingredients and see how it worked together. So in this case, again, I used 2 ounces of that whiskey. I used a half ounce of Grand Marnier and then a half ounce of the ginger liqueur from Rocktown Distillery out of Little Rock. So both cocktails use this and the Peychaud's bitters. The only difference in the 2 cocktails is the whiskey. So the first one I'm going to have with you is the one with the Angel's Envy. Oh, nice. I like this ginger liqueur. It's got just that hint of spicy, right? That would blend well with that orange because the Grand Marnier is rather sweet. I wanted that digestif, right? That nice, that after dinner or that nightcap cocktail, if you will. But I didn't want it to be a heavy, like fireplace cocktail. You know what I mean? I wanted those flavors, but I didn't want the drink to be heavy. That's why I wanted to take out that sweet vermouth altogether and add some flavors that might feel more like a spring into summer. So using the Grand Marnier and that ginger liqueur, I really like it. Because the Manhattan is my favorite cocktail. I love the Manhattan for a lot of reasons. But for me, the weakest part of the Manhattan is that sweet vermouth, right? But I love a cocktail in a coupe. I want a cocktail very well chilled, but I want it strained into the glass. I don't want that big cube that just continues to water down my cocktail. So this one is probably sitting somewhere between a Manhattan and an old fashioned, but I'm using the Manhattan as a template because I'm not using any simple or sugar of any kind, and an old fashioned does. So I'm using the liqueurs in place of the sweet vermouth, but I'm not adding any additional sugars here, which is why I feel like it's more closely related to a Manhattan than it is an old fashioned. Oh, mercy. I was off today, so I thought I might get on earlier to do a video earlier in the day, but then things came up and I just wasn't able to do that. I did a couple short recorded videos, but I typically like to do a live video about 5-ish or so, but I just wasn't able to. Trying to concentrate on other things. But yeah, this is very nice. I do like that ginger liqueur. Rocktown makes some crazy good liqueurs. Their ginger liqueur and their creme de cacao are 2 of the best ever. I wasn't crazy about their elderflower, but in fairness to them, I'm not crazy about elderflower liqueurs, but I mostly bought it because we use an elderflower liqueur at work, so I bought it so I could formulate some cocktails using it. I just can't get used to that flavor. It just feels very soapy to me. And again, in fairness to Rocktown, I don't think it's any worse than that name, ginger liqueur. It's about the same. I would just, I don't know what I was hoping for, but I was just hoping it was just a little different. But to me, it's just a little sweet, and I don't know. I just don't. The flavor doesn't work for me. But their ginger and the chocolate, the creme de cacao is just brilliant. And when we were there, they had just debuted a salted vanilla vodka that was crazy good. I wish I had bought 2 bottles of it. I only bought one, and it went quick. And that was great for cocktails. Oh, but this is very nice. This is a cocktail that I like, right? The current trend is just 100 ingredients in a glass. Here you go. Here, try this. The problem with that for me is in a lot of cases, I feel like there's a lot of competing flavors. You have flavors that may go together, but you've got them fighting for attention. Just because certain flavors will work together doesn't mean you need to put all 8 of them into one cocktail, right? But I am a classic cocktail guy. I like it simple, so I tell folks everything you see with 3 ingredients is mine. If you want a classic, then hey, I'm that guy. Or you want to do a spin on a classic, I do various versions of a French 75. I've got one particular customer at work. They like the French, but they want different flavors. So I've come up with many different simple syrups to change the game, seasonally for them. And the same with I got one that loves an old fashioned, so I just kind of change that flavor profile. Oh. But yeah, again, I love a Manhattan, but to me, it's more of a fall winter cocktail because it's very comforting, especially with that sweet vermouth. Again, it just feels heavy, and I don't necessarily want it in the spring and summer. But I like the idea of a Manhattan, right? So I do kind of a spring version of just eliminating that sweet vermouth, but putting something else in there that would do the same thing, basically. Add just a hint of sweetness to that whiskey, add some flavors, blend it all together. And I like the combination of the orange and the ginger liqueur with the Grand Marnier, and then this particular rum cask whiskey really works. So I'm curious how that other whiskey will be with it. When I work on Saturdays, I don't get off till 10:30 by the time I get cleaned up and everything ready to go. But when I get off during the week, I'm usually home by 9:30. So I thought I'd be off today. I usually try to do a video about 7, then another one, or about 5, then another one about 7:30, and then about 9:30. But the day kind of got away from me. Uh, anyway, that is nice. Yeah, I've never liked a lot of ice in a cocktail, right? I'm not that, when I was younger, I might have a highball, but usually, but by the time I got to my 30s, I was just done with ice. And I like an old fashioned, but I prefer to have it served this way. So in a lot of places, I will say old fashioned, and I'll ask them if you could just please serve it straight up. I would greatly appreciate it. Some places will, some won't, but I found more will than won't. Especially finer establishments and distillery tap rooms. or tasting rooms rather, they're more likely to go ahead and say, okay, what the hell? I just don't want to, I don't want to, I don't need ice, man. Just, chill it straight into a coupe. I'm good to go, baby. Brad, if you're still watching me, Sláinte, we're going to finish this one up so I get to the second one here. Oh, man. Oh. Now, I did manage to pull next Saturday off as well because it's our St. Patrick's Parade here in Springfield, Missouri. And I've got a friend who asked me to be part of their parade. And he gives me the cushy gig of riding in the back of the van and handing stuff to all the walkers there that are passing out stuff to the folks watching the parade. So I don't have to walk. I got the easy gig anyway. It was fun last year, but I wasn't smart enough to take the Sunday off. And this year I was. I made sure I had the Sunday off after St. Patrick's Day. Brad, you drinking anything this evening? I don't know if you saw what I had here, but the first cocktail, I'm using this Angel's Envy Caribbean rum cask. And both cocktails are the same. I've only changed out the whiskey. This is the first cocktail, but the other components are Grand Marnier and a ginger liqueur and then Peychaud's bitter. So I'm going to finish up this one. I'll be right back with that second cocktail. Okay, I'm back. So again, the difference here is just the whiskey. And I'll show you that here in a second. All right, let me set that down. So this one uses the Cooper's Craft Barrel Reserve, and it is also 100 proof whiskey. So both whiskeys I've used are 100 proof. Brown Foreman Cooperage. This one, where I can see here. Let me show you that bottle. It was a $40 whiskey. So both whiskeys cost pretty close to the same, although I think the Angel's Envy was just a little more. Now, I like Angel's Envy products, but they tend to be very subtle. And that one there was no exception either. That Caribbean cast does add a little something to it. Now, when I've drank this Cooper's Craft Neat, it is a little bit on the bolder side. Although I just realized what I did here. Work with me, people. So that's the difference. I use two different whiskeys. The Cooper's Craft is a bourbon, while the Angel's Envy is a rye. Let me make that clear. I don't think I said that right earlier. Oh, mercy. That is nice. Yeah, it works very well with the Coopers. Actually, I expected to like it better with the Angels Envy because of its subtle nature. But I do like the boldness that the Coopers brings to it. Those bolder bourbon notes. And again, the that ginger liqueur just balances the sweetness nicely. So there you go. I like the idea. I'm going to play around with this cocktail again because I like the blend of both the Grand Marnier with the ginger liqueur. I really do. But I'll play around with different whiskeys till I get the flavor I like the best. But I feel like both work with it depending on what you're looking for. If you want that rye or that bourbon, I was just using what I have open, what I'm trying to get rid of. uh, but yeah, this is very nice. So I know I've said this before. There are those out there that prefer an old fashioned. They love that rocks glass with that big cube in there. There's nothing wrong with that per se, but no matter what it is, your drink is going to get watered down unless you polish it off in 2 minutes, right? It may be not a whole lot, but that ice cube is going to melt some. But some like that diluted drink. I'm not one of those folks, which is why I like a drink chilled and strained. And I feel like if you do your job correctly, meaning you chill your drink correctly, you chill your glass first, it will stay cold for you. Most of these will take me, anywhere between 10 to 15 minutes to drink, some 20, and it will stay cold from start to finish. Will it be ice cold from start to finish? No. But for me, I don't need them ice cold. I'm using good products, so I don't need it to stay ice cold from start to finish. Oh, mercy. Man, that is good. I'm not sure which version I like better, if I'm being honest with you. Both are very good for different reasons. But again, I do like the combination of the Grand Marnier with the ginger. I keep trying different combinations to come up with that spring a spring Manhattan inspired. I didn't want to call it a Manhattan, but a spring Manhattan inspired cocktail, right? Using the Manhattan as a template, the idea of a Manhattan, but just taking that sweet vermouth, trying something different. At work, I've done a version using the Grand Marnier with Chambord, that raspberry, and that works too. But I'm not a big berry guy myself, so I wanted to try this combination here. And I really, really like it. Yeah, I really do, man. That's good. And like I said, it is spring, so I don't want to refer to it as that fireplace cocktail. That's why I wanted to lighten it up because that Manhattan's that perfect, that digestive, that nightcap, that fireplace cocktail. But it's spring, right? We don't necessarily need that fireplace on. And maybe we don't want the air conditioner on yet, but maybe we got some windows open. We got a little breeze. We're relaxed. We're sitting in our recliner or our easy chair. We want that nice cocktail. So let's see. The winter, it's a fireplace cocktail. Spring, we're gonna call it we'll call it a recliner cocktail. Got an easy chair cocktail. Something just to relax. You got a little breeze going on. Want a cocktail with a little body, but you don't want it heavy. This works nicely. And again, that's why I tend to lean more towards a Manhattan than an old fashioned, because a lot of old fashions, unless I'm making them myself, tend to be a little too sweet. That's why I like a drink like this that adds no additional sugar. I'm relying on the whiskey and the liqueurs. I'm not adding any more sugar to it to get to the balance, the flavor that I'm looking for. Oh, mercy. Anyway, gosh, that is good. That is really good. In fact, I'm liking this one more the more I drink it. Yeah. Like I said, even as it warms, because I'm using quality ingredients, I don't need this drink to stay ice cold. And some of the flavors will really wake up as it warms just slightly. Gosh, that's just delicious. That's just good, man. I don't care who you are. Anyways, I digress. Uh, well, I hope everybody's having a good Saturday out there. I'm going to wrap this up. I am Tom the Whiskey Whisperer, Whiskey Evangelist, prolific whiskey drinker, purveyor of wisdom, and all around good guy. Sláinte. Have a good one, guys. Thanks for tuning in.